On average, 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in the United States, and nearly half of all women and men in the United States have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime.
Society has not always taken this issue seriously, but for those involved, it can be very traumatic and life-changing.
We as a crew decided to explore relationship abuse.
The question we all had was, how can relationship abuse be stopped?
What can actually work to keep people safe?
We wanted to find out the roots of how domestic abuse has been dealt with in America. So we talked to Michelle Kaminsky, the chief of the Domestic Violence Bureau at the Brooklyn DA's office.
So the police used to respond to a call, a 911 call for domestic violence. They would separate the parties and they would tell the individual who was causing the abuse, why don't you just go take a walk around the block and cool down? And then the police would leave and the person would come back to the home. Maybe it would stop or maybe it would escalate. That all started to change sometime in the 1980s. There was federal legislation to focus on a strong law enforcement response to domestic violence. And then in 1994, New York State passed a mandatory arrest law, which stated that if the police are responding to a call of domestic violence, they must make an arrest. This has been mixed because we have a lot of people that just want the police to come and stop the violence, but they don't necessarily want their abuser caught up in the criminal justice system.
Some people in our crew have had family members in prison and know about all the brutal consequences of entering into the criminal justice system.
So we learned that police not making an arrest can cause harm, and police making arrests can cause harm. So what do?
We wanted to know if there were other alternatives besides just arresting and not arresting an abuser.
So here at Early Rap, we use the equation that abuse is a pattern where someone is trying to gain and maintain power and control over their partner or friend. So really thinking about the words power and control and really thinking
First, we heard about a program called RAP that sends trainers into middle schools to train them about healthy relationships.
Yeah, this is a program to address violent crime before it occurs because abuse is essentially about power. We can see the ways power plays out in ways that we don't recognize as violent or oppressive. And then when we see violence and we don't know how we got there.
And I want you to decide with your partner when you are going to take a step back and check in with each other. And when you're ready, you can step forward.
The advantages of doing relationship abuse prevention workshops over just incarcerating folks and criminalizing young people is that we keep people out of cages. We keep young people out of cages.
So it's a powerful age to introduce ideas that move people hopefully towards healthier relationship, how to feel safe within yourself so that you don't bring perhaps some abusive things into your relationships.
We also talked to the prosecutor about efforts in her office to divert people away from prison sentences.
So we use alternative sentences as opposed to just jail. We have programs known as batterer intervention programs. Those we use as a diversion out of the criminal justice system. If you successfully complete a program, you may withdraw your plea in a lot of cases and get a non-criminal disposition.
So rather than enter the prison system, people who have caused harm can enter a diversion program, complete a series of workshops, and avoid prison.
Studies have shown that these diversion programs can work, yet they're still very rare, and in most of the country, people still just get arrested.
Lastly, we talked to Corey Green, founder of an organization called How Our Lives Link All Together, and someone who practices something called healing justice.
When I was in prison with other men in prison, trying to figure out my own journey towards growth and development, the idea and the concept holla was something that stabilized me while I was in a place that was trying to dehumanize me and trying to kill me. And what we do now is we welcome young people who've been impacted by the criminal punishment system into our space to think about healing and organizing, and what does that mean? So when a couple come to me, my first thing would try to see what relationship brought them to me. Is it somebody in my program? Is it somebody that heard about me? Is it somebody I'm related to? And get information from those relationships, because that's where the trust is at. And some people are saying, like, if my cousin is in the room, maybe I could talk to them. Some people are saying, like, yo, maybe if this person who did this to me, if they take these 2 steps here, then I'll be down to do that. Every situation is different, and there's no blueprint on how you deal with this. You know, part of it is understanding how to heal yourself. When you understand how to heal yourself, when situations come to you, you have the emotional capacity to know how to maneuver and deal with things. I think it has the ability to bring spirit, which is another way of saying humanity, back to all of us. I think a lot of the reasons why we call the cops, and this is somebody who called the cops before, and someone who had the cops call them a lot of times, and somebody who got family members who call the cops. Sometimes it's easier to do that than to live in your own humanity of fear, to live in your own humanity of anxiety, to live in your own humanity of, like, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna try, but like how our grandmas used to say, but we gonna figure it out. Like, they have slowly taken that kind of spiritual humanity from us and given us social services and giving us certain things that we could push the button on where we don't gotta struggle in our spirits no more. But once you start getting these understandings, once you experience these things enough, once you have lived in this in your life, you start to get that muscle, that spiritual muscle, that deep human and healing justice muscle of struggling, of knowing that it's wisdom and vulnerability.
I feel like it's been a learning journey.
I know personally going into it, I didn't know about all of the other options that you could do instead of arresting a person. One of the biggest things I learned is that healing is a really important process.
I think they won't solve all the issues, but like they're leaning towards the right direction. There's more than just calling the police. You have like a lot of other resources that aren't as destructive to the community.